You ever look at a page of sheet music and feel like you're trying to decipher some ancient secret code? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're cracking that code. We're pulling back the curtain on musical notation and turning all those strange symbols into a language you can actually understand. Okay, let's get into it.
So let's start with a really basic but kind of profound question. How do you write down a sound? I mean, think about it. Music is temporary. The second a note is played, poof, it's gone. It just vanishes into the air. So how in the world did we figure out a way to capture it, to actually hold on to it?
Well, the answer is this brilliant thing called musical notation. It's this incredible system that people developed over centuries to solve that exact problem. It's what allows us to preserve music, to share it, so that a song written in Vienna 200 years ago can be played exactly the same way in Tokyo today. It's basically a time machine for sound.
Okay, here is the best way to think about this, and it's a little metaphor we're going to keep coming back to. Think of sheet music as the script for a play. It's got all the lines, the stage directions, even the pauses. And the musician? Well, the musician is the actor. They're the one who takes that script and brings it to life with their own feeling and emotion.
All right, so if our sheet music is the script, where do we write the lines? Well, in music, our stage, our canvas, is something called the staff. This is the absolute foundation for the entire musical blueprint.
And you know what? The staff is beautifully simple. It's just 5 horizontal lines, and that creates 4 spaces in between them. And the rule is super easy. The higher up a note sits on the staff, the higher its pitch sounds. And you guessed it, the lower it sits, the lower the pitch. That's it. Simple as that.
But here's the catch. A staff all by itself doesn't actually tell you which notes to play. It's kind of like having a map with no compass or no labels. The lines are there, but they're meaningless until you add one crucial symbol at the beginning, and that is the clef. The clef is the key that unlocks the meaning of the entire staff.
Now, let's meet the 2 main characters in our story, the treble clef and the bass clef. The whole reason we have different clefs is just to keep the notes organized and easy to read. Otherwise, a piano player would need a piece of paper like 3 feet wide. The treble clef, that fancy curly one, is also called the G clef because its main curl wraps right around the G line. It's for all the higher notes. Think vocals, flute, or the right hand on a piano. The bass clef, or F clef, is for the low end, your cello, bass guitar, the piano's left hand. And see those 2 dots? They hug the F line. That's how it gets its name. So how do you actually remember which note is which? Well, musicians have all these clever little tricks, these mnemonics. For the lines on the treble clef, starting from the bottom, just remember the sentence, "Every good boy deserves food." That gives you E, G, B, D, F. And the spaces between the lines? Even easier. They just spell out the word face, F-A-C-E. Easy, right?
Okay, so we've figured out where on the staff the notes live. But the symbols themselves, the actual little dots and stems, tell us 2 more critical pieces of information. What note to play and for how long to play it. Let's dig into how the shape of the note itself makes the sound.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. A note's vertical position on that staff, that shows you its pitch. That's the what. Is it a high note or a low note? But the actual shape of the note, whether it's an open circle or a filled-in dot, that shows you its duration. That's the how long. And this chart shows you exactly what I mean. See how the notes get more filled in as they get shorter? That big open circle is a whole note, and you hold it for 4 beats. A half note, which is an open circle with a stem, gets 2 beats. The solid black dot with a stem, that's our quarter note, just 1 single beat. The shape itself is literally a visual instruction for rhythm.
Okay, but this brings up a really important point. Music isn't just a constant stream of sound, right? The silence, the pauses in between the notes, that's just as important. That's what creates rhythm and drama. So how do you write down nothing?
Well, we use these symbols called rests. And here's the beautiful part. For every single note value, there's a matching rest that represents the exact same amount of time, just silent. So a whole note gets a whole rest, 4 beats of quiet. A quarter note gets a quarter rest, that squiggly line, 1 beat of silence. Remember our script metaphor? This tells the actor not only when to speak, but also when to pause for dramatic effect. So now we've got our pitches and our rhythms, our sounds and our silences. But it can't just be a random jumble of symbols, right? We need to organize them. Music needs a pulse, a structure. And that's where we get the rules of the road that keep the whole blueprint in order. So music is broken down into these small, easy-to-digest chunks called measures, or you might hear them called bars. You know those vertical lines you see cutting across the staff? Those are the bar lines, and their job is to divide the music into equal groups of beats. This is what gives music that steady, predictable pulse that makes you want to tap your foot. So, how do we know how many beats to put in each of those measures? For that, we look right at the beginning of the music for something called the time signature. Let's take a look at the most common one, 4/4 time. That top number is the one we care about right now. It tells us exactly how many beats are in every single measure. In this case, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the bottom number? What's that for? Well, that tells us what kind of note gets counted as one beat. Here, a 4 on the bottom stands for a quarter note. So if we put it all together, 4/4 time literally means there are 4 beats in a measure, and the quarter note gets 1 beat. That's the heartbeat of most of the music you listen to every single day.
Now, what if a composer wants to use a note that isn't one of the standard notes on the lines or spaces? Well, that's where our script needs a little twist. We use these symbols called accidentals. A sharp raises a note just a little bit, a flat lowers it just a little bit, and a natural sign that just cancels out a previous sharp or flat. Think of these as the spices you add to a recipe to give it a really unique flavor.
All right, we have covered a lot. We know what notes to play, when to play them, and for how long. But what about the feeling, the emotion? This is the final layer. This is what brings the blueprint to life and separates a robotic, computer-like performance from a truly human one.
And these are the actor's stage directions. They're called dynamics, and they tell the musician all about volume. You'll see a little P for piano, which, funnily enough, just means to play softly. An F for forte means to play loud. And then you have these cool symbols like the crescendo, which looks like a long less than sign, telling the musician to gradually get louder, building up excitement and tension.
So, let's just put it all together one last time. The pitch, how high or low a note is, that's shown by its position on the staff. The time, the whole rhythm of the piece, that's all in the shape of the notes and the rests. The grouping, the underlying pulse, is organized by the time signature and those bar lines. And finally, the expression, the feeling, comes from the dynamics. See? It's a complete system for writing down sound.
So there you have it. You now have the fundamental tools, the keys to unlock this secret language of music. It's not just a bunch of random dots and lines anymore, is it? It's a blueprint for sound. It's a script, just waiting for an actor like you to bring it to life. So the only real question left is, what music are you going to explore first?